Elizabeth Olsen is once again bringing the possibility of her return to the MCU back into the spotlight. The actress who played Wanda Maximoff for years in the Marvel Cinematic Universe hinted that she may reprise her role after her fate was left uncertain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And get this, there's even a specific character who could trigger her comeback, Death, played by Aubrey Plaza. By the way, if this video hits 2,000 likes, I'll make a lot more Scarlet Witch videos, so don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Alright, let's begin. Last time we saw Wanda, she was buried beneath the rubble of Mount Wundagore. While the film implied she might have died, fans never really believed it after all. Almost no one in the MCU stays dead for long. Now, Olsen's latest comments suggest that Marvel might actually have plans for her return. And this wouldn't just be a cameo, it could mark the beginning of a deeper, darker storyline. At SpaceCon San Antonio, Olsen said there's only one character who could bring her back to Marvel, Aubrey Plaza's Death, also known as Rio Vidal. The two previously worked together on Ingrid Goes West, and even then their chemistry stood out. Olsen says she'd love to see that same dynamic play out again, this time in Marvel's Magical Corner. Considering Scarlet Witch is already one of the most powerful witches in the MCU, a confrontation with Death could take the supernatural side of the franchise to a whole new level. Aubrey Plaza's character Rio Vidal was introduced in Agatha All Along in 2024. With her ominous presence and dark magic, she immediately grabbed attention. That's why a clash between Wanda and Rio wouldn't just be exciting tonally, it makes perfect sense. A meeting like this could expand both characters' power and push Marvel's dark magic lore into bold new territory. If Wanda returns to the MCU, it won't just be a reunion, it could be a rebirth. Olsen has previously said that if she comes back, she'd like to play an older, more worn-down Wanda. That suggests her return will be more than a simple resurrection. Maybe Wanda strikes a deal with Death, returning to life with a darker, morally gray energy, becoming a true anti-hero who shakes the MCU to its core. The strongest current theory surrounding her comeback is connected to Avengers, Doomsday. Some insiders claim the movie will feature both living and dead characters crossing paths in a layered reality. If that's true, Scarlet Witch could operate not just in the physical world, but also in an afterlife realm. That would place her directly at the center of a storyline involving a deal or confrontation with Aubrey Plaza's Death. In the comics, Death is the embodiment of mortality, an ancient being who decides the fates of souls. If Wanda is truly dead, the most logical path to her return would involve facing Death. That encounter could be a battle, a negotiation, or both. Considering Wanda's ability to reshape reality itself, this wouldn't just be dramatic, it could fundamentally transform the MCU. And Wanda's return wouldn't just affect her own character, it could usher in a new era for the magical side of Marvel. With Doctor Strange, Agatha Harkness, Clea, and America Chavez already in play, Scarlet Witch could be the key to shifting the MCU into a darker, more cosmic direction. If Wanda's powers evolve or decay after her bargain with Death, she might become the universe's greatest threat. And that would almost certainly force the Avengers to confront her again. Even Marvel's zombies include Scarlet Witch, even though it's set in an alternate universe, which shows Marvel hasn't forgotten about her. Sure, those recordings were done years ago, but it still proves Marvel sees a future for the character. And with projects like Deadpool and Wolverine, Loki and What If, expanding the multiverse, Wanda's return is more plausible than ever. Fan theories also suggest her sons, Billy and Tommy, might play a major role. The ending of Agatha All Along places Billy in a more important position, and many believe he will look for his mother. That journey could lead to a deal with Death, either to find Wanda's soul or restore her to life. This storyline would keep Wanda's identity as a mother at the emotional center of her arc, giving her a deeply personal motivation. A return through Death could also allow the MCU to dive into cosmic metaphysics, an area Marvel hasn't deeply explored yet. We could finally see concepts like the journey of the soul, the structure of the afterlife, and the cosmic nature of magic. And Wanda's story could also draw in other dark figures, Mephisto, Nightmare, Dormammu, and Clea, making the magical corner of the MCU more layered than ever. Aubrey Plaza's performance in Agatha All Along proved that her character deserves a bigger role. Her version of Death was sharp, eerie, and darkly funny, a tone that actually meshes well with Wanda's tragic story. Wanda's long years of grief and loss could contrast beautifully with Death's cold and ruthless perspective, a dynamic that would add emotional depth to the MCU. What Wanda would look like after returning is still a mystery. Olsen's interest in playing an older, worn-down Wanda hints that she would return not only burdened by her losses, but also by the weight of coming back from death itself. This could make her wiser, darker, and far more powerful a being beyond the Scarlet Witch we once knew. She could embody both heroism and threat at the same time. If Wanda does return, her presence would almost certainly disrupt the MCU's magical balance. Even Doctor Strange might struggle to keep her in check. She wouldn't just be an ally, she could easily become a danger. This would fill a gap Marvel has been missing, a true morally gray powerhouse. Wanda's duality, savior and destroyer, could put her back at the heart of the Avengers narrative. Her return could also reignite her rivalry with Agatha Harkness. Their conflict in Agatha all along felt far from over. If Wanda returns through death, Agatha could play a key role, either helping her rebirth or trying to stop her. Either way, their clash would bring massive character development for both. Marvel is expected to expand its multiverse storytelling in Avengers Doomsday. If that's the case, Wanda's story might not stay in the main MCU timeline. She could travel across universes, encounter alternate versions of herself, and try to rebuild her destiny. This would highlight both her power and her emotional vulnerability. Her death and return could also bring Marvel back to the theme of motherhood, something the franchise hasn't deeply explored in a while. Billy and Tommy were her greatest motivation, the reason behind her spiral and multiverse of madness. So the biggest question is, if Wanda returns, will she be a hero or a threat? That answer could shape the tone of the MCU's future. A Wanda who has returned from death, emotionally devastated and fueled by dark magic, could be both the Avengers' greatest hope and greatest fear. This duality could take her beyond a supporting role, turning her into a central force once again. Even though the MCU's future is uncertain, the possibility of Elizabeth Olsen and Aubrey Plaza appearing together has fans hyped. Their chemistry was noticeable years ago in Ingrid Goes West. A Wanda-death conflict could take their dynamic into a darker, more mystical storytelling space, refreshing the MCU in a surprising way. In the end, Olsen's comments have reignited hope for Scarlet Witch's return. Questions about how Wanda might resurrect, what her relationship with death would look like, and how Billy and Tommy fit into the story are fueling new theories. If Marvel handles this correctly, Wanda Maximoff could return as one of the most compelling and fearsome characters in the entire universe. And honestly, this comeback could just be the beginning. So, what do you think? Will the Scarlet Witch actually return? Does the idea of Wanda rising from death to face death excite you, or is it too dark? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, especially your theories about how Wanda could come back. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next Marvel breakdown. See you in the next one. Take care.